Hey guys.
Hello, everyone.
I am gonna go grab some hot water and I'll be right back for my tea.
All right, all right, all right. How's everybody doing?
Good, good in the hood.
Yeah? Are we live on LinkedIn?
I'm checking now.
I feel like I always ask you this.
Too many screens here.
So, guess what we're doing today?
Let me guess. Something to do with Calendly.
You must be a mind reader. You must be a mind reader.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And oh, you know what? Could you do me a favor? Actually, could you bring? I think Rex is an attendee. I meant for him to be a co-host. If you could change that in the webinar, that would be awesome.
All right, I gotta figure that out. All right. Da, da, da.
Okay, cool. So Penelope, are you back? Okay. So let me just talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do today. I'm actually kind of excited about this because this is something that I know a lot of our mind-body customers love, and that's integrating Calendly and mind-body. So what does this mean, and why do we want to do this? Well, Calendly is really starting to become the leader in automation for appointment scheduling, or not necessarily automation, but for workflow for appointment scheduling. They are now into the class scheduling as well, and so that's really cool because the user experience when you schedule an appointment is very important if you want to maximize your conversion from visitor to the page where you schedule to actually scheduling. And what we figured out is really a way to really kind of blend the two together, to have Calendly and MindBody working in unison. So your clients and potential clients are able to not only schedule free assessments and free appointments, but also schedule paid appointments if this is something you might want to do. And we're also able to do it where you have multiple staff members that are going to be scheduled, all with different availability. The reason we picked Calendly, I'm going to show you why, is because Calendly, out of all the scheduling tool out there that I have found, has one specific feature that makes this very doable, where the other ones make it a lot more difficult. And it has to be with the ability to display availability without scheduling an appointment. And I'll describe exactly what this means, okay? You guys excited?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is Rex one of the attendees or is somebody else?
I'm working on it. Oh, he's the attendee, I think.
Mark, are you getting him a host sign in? Is that what you're doing?
I'm trying.
Just make him a co-host in the webinar, and then tell him to disconnect and reconnect, and he should be able to.
You can't edit the webinar while it's live, so I'm trying another way to get him in.
Okay. If not, well, he's just an attendee. Rex is our new
It worked. Okay.
for the. I think a lot of people who are going to watch this are probably. Oh, here he is. Here's Rex.
Hey,
Hey, Rex, how are you, man?
doing great. I'm
were-
feeling more powerful as a host instead of the attendee. So
Right. There was a reason I wanted you to be here. Well, first of all, I feel like you were left outside the club in the VIP line, and you were saying, "Hey, here's my name. Come on, I'm on the list.
I'm on the list.
But the reason I wanted you to be here before I went to the next screen is because this is in your honor. So every time we do an opening screen, you guys see this, right? You see my opening screen, right? Right. Every time we do an opening screen, we try to find something kind of cool, and then usually there's a little story behind it. But since you are new to APIANT and this is where you live, I wanted to have a special screen for you. So.
Can we see?
New York, New York.
Can we see Rex? Is there an arrow pointing to like where he is?
Okay, cool.
Uh,
So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do mind body to Calendly, and so let's dive right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and let's talk about Calendly a little bit, because I did say there was a really good reason why we pick Calendly for this. So in Calendly, so here's Calendly. When you look at availability, there's something that's really, really cool. Not availability. When you go to calendar connections, Calendly is one of the only scheduling tool that I've seen. And if anybody sees any different, please let me know, because I've been on the lookout for this, where you are able to check for conflict into multi-calendars, but you're also able to not add the appointment in the calendar that you're checking for conflict, right? So if I say here, do not add events to a calendar. Now, why is that important? Well, because if you think about it, what we're about to do here, we're about to expose a calendar, right? Availability in Calendly. We want the client to schedule an appointment into Calendly, but we don't want Calendly to add the appointment into the calendar. We want MindBody to do it. And that is that little nuance, believe it or not, makes a heck of a difference. Because otherwise what would happen is Calendly would schedule the appointment into the calendar, and then by the time we go to MindBody and we try to schedule it, MindBody would say, hey, you can't do it, it's taken. Because Calendly just scheduled it, right? So you want Calendly to view but not take action. And that's what makes those two work so well together. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. So what I thought we'd do is, usually we do this in about an hour and a half. What I thought would be really useful is, first, let me show you how it works, right? Let me show you how it works when you're a client and then you schedule a call, an appointment. And we're going to spend maybe, 30 minutes doing that. And then for those of you who get really bored by geekiness, unlike Mark and I, you're free to leave. Now, I'm not talking about the two of you. I'm talking to anybody who's watching this. Then we're going to show you how we built it. So first we'll show you how it works. You can see it. You can like, wow, this is working great. And then we're going to open the hood a little bit and we're going to build it from scratch and show you how we built it. And then hopefully, if we have a little bit of more time, I want to show you how we can enhance it even further. Okay. So first we're going to show you how it works. Then we're going to show you how we built it. And then we're going to show you how we enhance it. Now, Rex, be ready, my friend, because what we do during these calls, so first of all, these are supposed to be really, really fun. Okay, we know people watch this, but it's mainly for us to have fun in our geekiness. But I have been known to quiz one of you guys, and that's why you're a host. Not just because I have been known to quiz, just to make sure you pay attention. So I will probably put you on the spot at some point.
Lovely.
Okay. And Penn is always like, oh God, Friday, 1 p.m. No, please stop. Okay.
Don't worry too much, Rex. It's usually Mark that gets picked on the worst. So
All right. I'm counting on that.
Okay, cool.
Connection going out.
Mark's connection doesn't work anymore. Okay, cool. So I have an appointment here, and I just created an appointment called free assessment, right? So I'm going to say view booking page, and basically you can create as many appointments as you want. And I'm going to share my whole screen for this so you can see the whole thing. So now I'm going to be showing you how it works. Okay. So here I have a free assessment, and I have my MindBody here on the right. Okay. So pretty straightforward. You can create as many appointments as you want on the left, and these are all your appointments on the right. So if I go to MindBody, you can see that, and I'm only talking about appointments now, okay? We're not talking about classes, we're only talking about appointments. We are not yet supporting classes through Calendly. just because there are some complications. I'm not saying it's not possible. I think maybe one day we will be able to. But if you think about a class, you also have the additional complexity of one, capacity, and two, schedule. A class happens at a specific time. So we haven't solved that. So right now I'm only talking about appointments in Calendly. So here I have assessment, I have free assessment and free assessment here. So you just create your calendar here, and here it says free assessment. You can have as many as you want, right? And the other thing is you can also have as many staff members as you want, right? So here I have some staff members. I have two, Mark, Floyd, right here. Look at that. That's one of his best pictures. And then Fred here. That's Fred's picture about when Jimmy Carter was president. So maybe not that
They
far.
know that? Do you know who Jimmy Carter is?
Maybe not that far back, but pretty far back. Okay, so you have your free assessment here, and you can create as many as you want. And then here's the cool thing, is that you don't necessarily have to match the name either. So in Calendly, when you create an appointment in Calendly, you can call it whatever you want, right? So you could call it free evaluation here, and it's called free assessment here, and that's fine, because I'm going to show you how you can relate the two eventually. Okay, so that can be anything you want. And when you create in Calendly, it's very user friendly how you create it. You basically say here, change will be lost. Okay, so the team members that you're going to want to add to this. So here I have Mark and Fred. And by the way, you'll notice that if I go into MindBody, you'll see that I have staff members. So if I go to staff, you'll see that Mark and Fred are two staff members. So that's one thing that's important. You want to make sure that the staff that you are allowing in the appointment in Calendly are staff that exist in MindBody. Do they have to have the same email? No, they don't. They just have to be there, right? So if Fred had this email here but had a completely different email in MindBody, that's fine. I'll show you how you can relate the two again. They just have to be there. So when somebody schedules an appointment with Mark in Calendly, I'm going to have to be able to say who is Mark here. Okay, so that's that. And then when you schedule in Calendly, the other thing that you also want to do is you want to make sure that the duration is the same. Okay, so here the duration is 30 minutes, and here in the free assessment, you'll notice that the free assessment here, let me stretch this a little more here. It's a 30-minute appointment. Okay, so make sure that the appointment is the same length in both. Okay, and by the way, you're free to interrupt me and quiz me, or at least question me anytime. Okay, so Rex, you have a question, just interrupt. Okay. So pretty straightforward. You add all your staff here, you have your appointments, and you can create as many as you need, right? And then the other thing that's really cool too is you can add additional questions. So here I've added the phone. What do you want to improve? So let's say this is an assessment on improving your shape, which I desperately need to, and this is why I wear black t-shirts. You want to improve your shape. Right? Ask the questions that you want. Those questions are going to be exposed through the integration, and we're going to be able to plug that into MindBody anywhere you want us to plug it. Okay. And that's really all there is when it comes to creating the appointments. Now, let's talk about availability. And this is the part that's a little bit of the secret sauce. How do you make sure that MindBody, right, and Calendly both look at the same availability? How do we make sure that that slot in time on that calendar is available in both? Okay, this is how it's done. So here, I would say manager tool. I'm sorry, I would go to staff, and for each staff member, right, you want to make sure you connect their Google Calendar. So on the bottom right here, you see where it says share? Here, I connect the Google Calendar. So you can put the email of the Google Calendar. And you do that for each staff member that you're going to want to be able to schedule in Calendly. Okay, so I did it here for Fred, and I'm also going to do it for Mark here. And here, Mark, that's his Google calendar. Okay. So once this is done, you want to do the same thing, obviously, in Calendly, because Calendly does this natively. So in Calendly, right, when you look at calendar connections, and I'm going to go to a different screen for that. So right here, for calendar connection, you want to look at availability here, at least for Fred, for each individual, for each staff member. You want to make sure that that Google Calendar is being looked at for conflicts. So here, I'm going to say right here. So check Fred at APIANT, right? That's the same as what I had here. So it's actually looking for that for conflicts, okay? So now both MindBody and Calendly are both looking at Google Calendar for each staff member for availability. Now, what's really cool about this is that if your staff member in MindBody needed some personal time off, or they need to go pick up their kid at daycare impromptu, all they would have to do is block that on their Google Calendar, and in Calendly, no one is going to be able to schedule them for that time, and neither will it be for MindBody, okay? But the cool thing is that the Google Calendar becomes the one in between. And remember, add to calendar has to be turned off, because you don't want Calendly to add an appointment into the Google Calendar, because MindBody is going to do it, okay? So that's really all there is when it comes to availability. You want to make sure your staff Google Calendars are connected and then they match, okay? All right.
Hey, Fred.
Yep.
Does this is this limited to Gmail, or can you do this with other calendars as well?
Only Google Calendars for now, and they're
Okay.
mainly the limitations is that MindBody only allows you to sync with Google Calendar, and that's why.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Yep. No, absolutely. So how does it work? Super straightforward. So we're gonna go to the free assessment here. So this is what your client would see, right? And by the way, you can embed this in anything. So you know how in MindBody you can actually have heal code, which is branded tools that you can embed in people's websites and so forth. Calendly can do the exact same thing, right? And actually Calendly can even be embedded in, I think, Facebook now, in the Facebook page. So you can make, schedule appointments right into Facebook, right at the end of a Facebook ad, boom, you have a Calendly. So the client would come here, free assessment. I kept it very simple, and I called it a Calendly to MindBody demo. Obviously, you wouldn't do that, but you come here and say, okay, I'm going to do something on the 16th at 12 p.m., and I'm going to confirm this. I'm going to put my name. So my name is, all right, every demo we just come up with interesting people who are going to participate in this. Who should we choose, Penn? Who's going to want to know to make sure their shape is good?
Let's do Michael Scott.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this as a hint. All right, Michael Scott at APIANT. Okay, and we're gonna put a phone number for Michael Scott: 310-880-4175. That's his Beverly Hills number. And what do you want to improve? I want to improve my neck size. He wants to improve his neck size. All right, so you schedule the appointment here. Confirm, Michael Scott has been scheduled, okay? And so we didn't have availability. Yes, one thing that I forgot to mention is that for that appointment, you also want to make sure in MindBody that you have availability for that time. And I just created this appointment, so let me make sure here. So here, free assessment. All right, let's see when it's available. So now, Mark, jump in. I just created this. I want to make sure that this is available. I want to say when you can schedule this, and I don't think I did that. So could you help me out here? Where did I do that in MindBody?
Yeah, you got this here. You're good. In staff availability, so you gotta expose the staff's availability, right?
I just created that. I should have assessment. Let's go to, where do you, right here. Add staff schedule. Thank you. And so we're going to say Fred.
You're gonna view, edit, schedule.
Oh yeah, thank you. And then in here, you pick
Yep, add new.
add new.
And then make sure in the what services that it's in there, which it is, so.
Okay, so they're all in there.
Yep.
Okay, date range ongoing, allow client to schedule. Okay, so that should work, right? And then add.
Yep.
And then I also want to do
Oh,
this.
you gotta check off the days, sorry, the days.
Ah,
And your time frame.
you're gonna work a lot. From 5 a.m. till, I'm gonna make you work from 5 a.m. till, you're gonna love this.
This is
You, oh, that's me.
you working yourself.
Okay, so you want to make sure this is the schedule conflicts with another existing schedule. I guess I already had one. All right. I shouldn't have created one on last minute. Okay, and then let's do one for going.
Yeah.
And then
All right. All right. Yeah. View, edit. All right. See, I already have services set. So
repeat that again.
there's already services set. It's already got a schedule.
Okay, it's already got a schedule. Okay. All right. So let me see what error I got here. So it tried to schedule it, and then it gave me an error saying no, it wasn't executed. He said that. All right. This is what the other part about these demos are, Rex, is that we fall on our faces and we try to solve it, which is also demonstrating how we can do that. So here's one of them. Let me go back to the other appointment then. I think I shouldn't have chosen this one. For some reason, I don't think this one is available. So let's go back to the other appointment that I have. So appointment here, assessment. Now I'm showing you how it's built. I didn't want to do that yet.
Yeah. You don't have any staff assigned on the free assessment.
Ah, that's why. Thank you. Thank you. That's probably why. Fred and Mark.
Yeah. Can I get $100 on this?
No, it says no pay. I'll give you a flat rate. I'll give you a flat rate.
That flat rate is 0. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that auto saves, right? So that's good. Now assessment, 2 staffs. All right, let's do it again. That should work now. Man, that was crazy. Okay, cool. So we go back here. All right, so we go to the free assessment. I'm gonna pick the 25th. I'm gonna pick something safe, 4 p.m. Wait, do you have something that's scheduled at 4 p.m. at all? Maybe that could be the reason too.
Oh, yeah, because it's looking at my real calendar. I'm not available at 4 p.m. Well, 4 p.m. East Coast, I would be.
All right, so let's do it late because I think that's probably why also it failed. Let's do 6:30 p.m. Wait, hold on. I need to change my calendar because you see what I did for availability here. I had this thing called block. So I was actually blocking these times that I didn't want to work. So you see where it says call blocking? Yeah. That's why I had no availability. So I'm going to take this out here.
All right.
And I'll tell you what, let's take this out for now. Well, no, let's keep this in. Okay. Now I shouldn't have that issue anymore. And then I'm going to get rid of this right now. Okay. Good. Yeah. Basically, I was trying to schedule something that was not available. Although that's Calendly, so that shouldn't have been the issue. All right. So 4 p.m., 6:30 p.m. All right. I'm going to say Michael Scott. Email Michael Scott at APIANT.com 310, and he wants to improve his neck size. Okay. Beautiful. So you see how this automatically ran? So this is a webhook, so it's instantaneous. So what happened? Well, before I dive into this, let's go look for Michael Scott. So we're going to come here and we're going to look for Michael Scott, which I'm pretty sure wasn't in there originally before Penelope came up with it. So here's Michael Scott, and we're going to look at his schedule. And we see that appointment, assessment, free assessment.
Yep. Booked with me.
Right here. So that's his phone number that we entered in Calendly, and he's booked with Mark. Pretty cool. And so if I go to the appointment right here, so here this is what happened. We got the payload from Calendly instantly because it's a webhook, okay? And what we did next here is we got the person's name. So first name Michael, last name Scott. We added or updated the contact in MindBody. So we checked, is Michael Scott at APIANT.com someone that already exists, or is this somebody new? Okay. In this case, he already, I think he was new, or wait, I think he was new. Yep. We converted the start time to MindBody start time. Again, this is where APIANT can really help because we can convert date formats, time formats, and so forth. We converted the Calendly end time to end time. This, I will show you this, how we can customize this, but this, we looked up the staff. So we said Mark at APIANT.com is staff number this here. So really, if I go here and I look for Mark's staff number. So if I look right here and I go to Mark, you see this right here? That's the staff number for Mark. What I'm hoping is that I can actually show you so we can sync that automatically so you don't have to know that, right? And then we looked up the session ID. So the free assessment was session number 27th. How did we know this? Well, here you can see services and pricing, appointments, and same here, assessment, the free assessment right here, edit is number 27, right? So that's how it figured that out. And then it added the appointment in MindBody with all this information. And that's how we ended up. And the appointment was, what was the date?
25th.
25th. Right here. So if I go to appointment and I go to the 25th.
I think it was 25th.
Yep, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to the 25th. We should see Michael Scott. He's going to want this is Buddha. Sorry. Michael Floyd.
Michael Floyd's my brother.
Mark Floyd. Right here. Here it is. That's the assessment that was scheduled from Calendly. Right. With Michael Scott, who wants to know about his neck size. Now, the neck size is not in there, right? That's because we didn't map it. So let's see if we can make a change where the neck size would go in there. So all I have to do really, I believe that's possible here. Add appointment note. See how it has notes here? So let me just open this again. So this is for you, Rex. I'm going to want to map something else to that action add appointment, right? So I'm going to open add appointment. These are all the fields, right, that I could potentially map from anywhere before it, right? From another action or from a trigger, okay? And I'm going to look, because there's a lot of fields and I'm lazy and I want to read them all, I can do a search for note. Here's notes, okay? This is basically this notes here. And now I'm going to map the notes from Calendly to the notes in MindBody, from Calendly to MindBody. I'm going to click select diagram here. and I'm going to move over here. I'm going to say, is there a note here? Right. So which one is this? Right. And here you can see that there's a question that is going to say, I can do a search. What do you want to improve? That was the question that I want to put in the notes. I click go, save again, and we're going to do a test. So here I'm going to say map notes. And again, the cool thing about this is that in your Calendly, you can customize whatever you ask, right? You can ask for what do they want to improve. You can ask who referred you. You can ask whatever you want that you want to publish to MindBody, right? To be synced with MindBody. So let's do another test. I'm going to come back here and let's go back to right, free assessment. Okay, so we're gonna reopen this. All right, let's do another test. This time we're gonna choose somebody different. Ready, Pen?
Yeah.
And we're gonna watch it work live too here. Okay, so I want you to. I know you have comedy in your DNA. I know you wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and so I want you to give me something really funny. Okay, so who's scheduling this?
Oh, this is too much pressure for me. Okay. Who is scheduled? I mean, I'm running with the Office theme. Let's go, Kevin Malone.
Oh.
I thought you were gonna go with Dwight.
Oh, Dwight.
Oh, let's do Dwight. Let's do Dwight.
Dang it, Mark.
What's his last name?
Shroot.
Shroot.
Shroot
Yeah.
Farms.
How do I spell it?
Shroot.
CH.
SCH.
SCH. SCHROOT.
UTE. UTE.
UTE. Okay. All right. So and he's gonna have a really strange email. What's his email? Because it can't be.
I love beats.
Yes.
I love beats at
ShrootFarms.org.
All right. All right. Now, what do you want to improve? This is where we have to bring in the punchline. What is it?
Oh gosh, Mark, help me out. You picked Dwight, so
He wants to improve his mental dexterity.
oh,
Wow. Dexterity. My mental dexterity and my relationship with who?
Angela.
Angela. Okay, cool. All right, so here it is. Dwight Schrute schedule. Let's go look for Dwight. So we're gonna go to MindBody now. Okay, I'm gonna look for Dwight. Dwight Schrute's here. Bada boom, bada bin. And he is scheduled for. Is he scheduled? I don't see a schedule cancellation. I don't see a schedule here. And I think again, I picked, no. Did I pick somebody? Yeah, I think I picked the time that is not available. See, yeah, that's what it is. Again, one more time, I did not sync my calendar availability, but you get the idea. It's kind of a bummer because I really wanted to see Dwight Schrute. So we added the person, but we didn't add the appointment because the calendar is not synced, or the availability is not synced for that time. Okay, cool. So that's how it works. Any questions?
nope.
No? Okay, let me show you how we built it. So I think what we could do here is build it from scratch. I think it'd probably be more interesting because some of the things I want to really take you through the thought process on what this is and what this is and how this is happening. So let me duplicate this here. And now I'm going to share just this here. I'm going to create a new Where it is. Okay, I'm gonna keep, sorry, I'm gonna keep this here. Am I sharing this one page? Okay, I wanna share this one page right here. Right here. Okay. So, and I'm gonna delete all of this here. I'm gonna select all, okay? And I'm gonna delete them just so I can show you what the thought process is in building this from scratch. And again, the reason I'm showing you this is not because I think that MindBody customers should build their own. This is the part of the demo where you really get to think through, how do I build an automation? How do I think through what is needed next and everything else, okay? So first I added the trigger up here, and it's called invitee created with a question and answer. And all I did here is really, I just came here and I said Calendly, and I picked invitee created with a question and answer instant, okay? I'm not doing it again because when you do it, you have to submit a test one for it to see it the first time so it can decide what it needs to map. And that's unique to Calendly because you could be adding a lot of questions, and we need to know with the first one that comes through, what are you looking for? What are you looking to ask your client in order for us to decide what to emit so you can map it to MindBody? So I'm going to keep this here because that's already done. So one of the things that you'll discover is the name is a full name. So first and last name comes as one field. So that could be problematic when you try to decide which part is the first name, which part is the last name. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to want to extract the people's name. So now watch this. Here, you don't know how to extract a person's name, right? So where do I go? Do I transform data? Do I do system utility? Do I add an app? How do I know how to do this, right? So there's a little trick here when you build an automation. When you don't know what you're looking for, just go to find an action. Okay, so I'm going to click on find an action, and Rex, what am I going to type in here?
You're gonna type, you're trying to extract name or name?
Perfect. Extract person name components. Okay, so I'm going to select that. Right, so now it wants a value. It's saying, what do you want me to put in there, right? So how do we decide what to put in there? And Penelope, what do you think I'm going to put in there? Where is this information coming from, in your opinion?
From the event they filled out in Calendly.
Right. So here I'm going to put, I can click to go selected, or I can just do a search right here for anything that comes from any trigger or any action before. So I'm going to do a search for name. And I got a bunch of options here. I've got canceller name, assigned to name, type name of the event, invitee canceller name, invitee first name. Oh, they do have the first and last name now. Oh, so they've improved it since I built it last. But let's say they don't, okay? We'll just say this is the full name, okay? They do separate first and last name now, but let's assume, just for the sake of demo, that they don't. I'm going to pick this one because that's what I got originally, right? And so now what I did is I took the full name from here and I put it in here. Okay, so that's all I've accomplished so far because I want to be able to separate the first and the last name. So what we're going to want to do next is, now that we have a first and a last name and we have an email, because we know we're getting that from the trigger, now we want to see, do they exist in MindBody? Okay, so here I'm going to add MindBody, and I'm going to say, so there's different things you could do here. You could say find clients by email. That's one that you could do. Or you could just keep it simple to keep this demo pretty simple. You could just say add or update clients. So the add or update client is kind of a multi-functionality action where if the client already exists, it'll update them. And if the client doesn't exist, it'll create them. Okay. So I'm just going to say add or update client. And in the add or update client, I get a chance to decide how do I want to match the client. And I have two choices here. And if you read this, it'll give you those choices. But here I can either do it by ID first, if I have an ID. Now I don't have a mind body ID because you can't ask for a mind and body ID in Calendly, right? I can do it then by email. So in order of priority, ID first, I don't have that. Then if I have an email match, then I make a match. And then first and last name if I don't have an email. Or I can do ID first, then email plus first and last name. And the reason why you have these two is because you may have multiple family members that have a different first and last name, but the same email. So if that happens frequently, then I would just choose the second option because it needs to make a match on the email, the first name, and the last name. Okay. So I'm just going to choose the first one here for this demo. And this is cross-regional update. This is if you have multiple client ID, site IDs, then you want to check this because your client could be on multiple site IDs. But if not, just check this off because this is data share. This is one site ID, multiple locations. Okay. I'm going to fetch the data fields here. Okay. And you noticed when you create an action, the first thing you should look at is what is required, right? So show only required fields. The only thing it asks me for is an email. I can't move forward without an email. So that's the very minimum that is needed, okay? So here I'm gonna say select from the diagram. I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna choose the email, okay? But I wanna map more stuff, right? So I wanna map the email, but I also want the first and last name, okay? So here, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna type first name. How am I gonna get that first name, Pen?
You're gonna pull it from the Calendly invite.
Right? So how do I do that?
Go to trigger one and find the name. See, invitee name.
This one?
Yeah. Well,
That's the full name.
first name, yeah. But you, okay, yeah.
So that's not gonna work.
So up is invitee first name, right?
But remember, I told you that one doesn't exist.
Okay, dang it. It's imaginary world.
Oh God, you're so funny. Remember what we did? Remember what we did here?
Oh yeah. Okay, go to that one.
Right. We extracted the first and last name from the full name. So you're going to want to take the data from that step where you kind of extracted the name. And that's the thing about an action is that you can map the output of an action to another action. So let's just do it through select diagram. Watch this. I could just go here and try to find the full name, which is not going to work because I just want a first name and I don't have a first name here, but I do have it here because Rex found that we have an action that extracts the first and last name from a full name. And here you just want to map to the first name.
Okay, got it.
Got it? Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to do the same for last name, right? So last name here, and you can see how fast you can go with this stuff. Last name, and then I'm going to want to put, let's just say the mobile phone, right? It's always good to have a mobile phone. And here, I'm going to select the mobile phone. I don't know which one it is here, so I'm just going to do phone. Here's a mobile phone, boom. So before you know it, you have mapped, map field. You've mapped the email, the first name, the last name, and the mobile phone. Okay, so good enough to move forward on adding or updating a client. Okay, so now what we want to do, and I know this just because I've built it before. The date format that I'm getting from Calendly is not going to be the same date format that MindBody is going to need or is going to be able to handle. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to convert the start time. I want to convert the end time from Calendly date to MindBody date. Okay. So this is where we bring the big guns, Mark Floyd. How do I do that?
All right, so we're going to convert time, transform. and transform date and time.
Okay. Do I want get time zone for account, or do I want to modify and reformat date time?
Modify.
Okay, cool. All right, so what do I put in the value here?
That information is going to come from the trigger. So,
All right, so I'm typing start time.
gotcha.
Okay.
Yep. So what's it here? I don't know the difference between the. Okay, there's four start times. What's pretty? And we don't worry about pretty.
So you could put pretty. Our action is smart enough to drive the date from pretty. Pretty basically means it's readable by a human. So you can see there's sample data here, 6 a.m. Monday, February 28th. So that's pretty.
Right.
But what we really want to get is the time in a computer format, so to speak, that a computer can understand. But this would also work just because our action can't handle it. But this is what you really want. Okay?
Gotcha. We want them.
Name it pretty, or is that like what people actually call it?
It's actually a very common way to name date formats that are human readable.
Huh.
Yeah, pretty. Okay, and then here we're gonna want to say the output for MindBody. Now I know this just because I've done the trial and error. Okay, but what you want to do is you want to convert that source date and time to the date and time that MindBody is going to need. So I'm going to show you how I built it, right? So it's year, I'm sorry, yeah, 4 years, right? And the reason I know this is because you have year as 4 digits, right?
Right.
Year. All right. And then month, and that's MM for month and digits with leading zeros. Okay. And then I have day. So here you can see day of the month as digits with leading 0. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to put quote T for time. And I'm going to put capital H, that's hours with leading zeros, 24 hours. Okay. And then here, capital M for minutes with leading zeros. Okay. And then SS for seconds with leading zeros. And the only reason I know this is because I read the API documentation and it told me this is the format that you need to add a date and time into MindBody. Okay. Good. Now, the other thing that you're going to need to do is to do a time zone offset in seconds. So what this is, and we could do 3 training classes just on time zones. But just to explain it to you, sometime format dates and times that come to us from a system are in different time zones, right? And that's a lot of trial and error, or reading the documentation is going to allow you to determine what you need to do here. But sometime you may receive a date and time in somebody in like Pacific time, right? And then MindBody may need UTC, right? Universal time, right? You want to make sure that translation is done properly, because they may schedule it for 4 p.m. but it ends up being 1 a.m. because the time doesn't translate, right? Well, I'll tell you that through trial and error of being able to understand how Calendly and MindBody can communicate best, what we do here is we do account. And what account means is it's using the APIANT account's time zone. So whatever they set their APIANT account to, this will translate it perfectly for MindBody to interpret the time to the exact time and date. Okay. Again, I don't want to get too deep into that. You can do account, you can do account UTC, you can adjust the time zone by an hour, by a day, by a minute, whatever. It's all possible. But this will actually give you the good recipe for the time from Calendly, converted to account with this format will give you a date that MindBody is going to be able to handle. And then of course, what we want to do, because we always do that, we also rename the action so we know exactly what it is. So here I'm going to rename this action here, and I'm going to call this convert Calendly. And don't be afraid of being very specific here. And I'll tell you why this is important. Start time to MindBody start time. The reason you want to be very specific here is because you're going to need to map to what this outputs lower. And it's good to know exactly which action does what, because you'll be able to read it when you map it. Okay, so don't be afraid of doing that. So this is converting the start date. Okay, now we need the start time. Now we need to convert the end time. Rex, I don't want to redo this from scratch, right? I want to be able to copy and paste. And I know you've never seen this before, so I'm gonna quiz you on something that you probably don't have an answer to, but intuitively, what would you do to do the same thing for the end time?
I would assume that we can take the convert Calendly start time to MindBody start time, copy it, and then just change it from start to end.
God, I knew he was good. I knew he was good. Wasn't that impressive, Penn?
Yes. And now there's another person on these calls for Fred to pick on. So it's like the likelihood of me being called on is getting smaller.
So Rex, you're absolutely right. So I just renamed it. So show me now how I change this to the end time. So I'm going to open this up. What do I need to change in here to make sure I use the end time, not the start time?
Well, at the top, it says payload event start time. So we want to switch that to payload event end time.
And how do I get that end time?
So that would be under that would can you search end or search time end time? Yeah.
It keeps on getting better, man. It keeps on getting better. Okay. So
payload event. Yeah, that one. Invitee end time.
Perfect. You just did it. All right. Golf clap, everybody. Golf clap for very nice. That was cool. Okay. Cool. So
real quick, does it matter that it says in that fourth step, it says convert Calendly end time to MindBody start time?
Yes, it does matter. So end time to end time. You are correct.
Nice.
Yes. So it would not have broken anything, but it would have been confusing when you want to map to it, because you'd be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, right? This is just a label, basically. You're naming that action, whatever you want, right? Very cool. All right, now, Mark. Now, the big challenge. The challenge is, let me share my whole screen here. The challenge is, all right, I've got a first name and a last name. I got a client. I got a start and an end time. Now I need to know which staff I want to be able to assign an appointment to. Okay, because there's multiple staff, as we saw earlier, and I screwed up the times and availability and all, but I didn't want to waste time to fix this. But I want to be able to know which of these staff I want to add this appointment to. So what do you think, Mark, I'm going to use to do a lookup between what I get from Calendly to translate that to a staff ID in MindBody?
Right. So first we have to look up the staffs from MindBody. So we have to add an app.
You can't do that because all you have is an email. Wait, hold on. You're not wrong, actually. You're not wrong. If I came here, I could come here and say MindBody, and I could say find or get staff member. And if I did that, it needs a staff ID though, but I don't have a staff ID in Calendly. So you are incorrect, but good thought though. But in Calendly, I don't have a staff ID. I only have an email. Right. So what you want to do is you want to be able to translate that email that you got from Calendly into a staff ID, so you can consume that when you add the appointment.
Yeah, we need make a lookup table or something.
Yes, sir. All right. So I'm going to do a lookup table. So how do I get my lookup table again? How do I find that?
I think you can do find action, because I'm not as versed. So I would say lookup or table.
That's it. Lookup value in key value table. That's exactly it. Okay. So what this is, Penelope, it's basically a table. It's like a little mini spreadsheet that says, if you get this, then return this. That's all it is. And on the left, you have the key, right? And on the right, you have the value. Okay. The key is what you get to look up, and the value is what you return. Okay. So here, I'm going to say the key here is going to be the email, because that's what we get from Calendly to identify who the appointment is with. Okay. So here I'm going to type email.
Right. From the trigger.
And here it's going to say event assigned to email. That's who the event is assigned to as a staff member. Penelope left. She's like, I don't want him to quiz me. I'm out. So I'm going to put that here. Totally bailed. And so she's back. Okay. So you put the email here of the staff member that comes from Calendly.
Right.
Okay. Putting it here just means this is what you get. But now you can build your table. Okay.
Right.
Like that little spreadsheet that I was telling you about, right? So here is where you want to say, if I get this, I return that. So right now I'm doing this manually, right?
Right.
If we have some extra time, I can show you how we can sync all the staff from MindBody into cache and then retrieve it here. But that's not what we're doing here. We're doing it manually, okay? All right, so I'm going to say, if it's Mark, right? So I'm going to take the email here.
Yeah.
If it's Mark, then
12 or something. Yep.
then I'm going to copy your staff ID from here. Now, it's not super user-friendly, but if you wanted to do manually, you can do it here. And then again, make sure there's no extra spaces and anything else like that, okay? And if it's Fred, then Fred right here, ID 4. And I know it looks weird that one is 4 and one is, it's just the way MindBody is. The first ones you create have a low number, and as you add staff, they have a much bigger number, okay? And also you can have a default. So this means if it's none of these two, it could go to a default one. So if I wanted to say, hey, look, if I didn't add the staff in Calendly in MindBody, but I want to add a bunch of people, and let's say I wanted Jen, right, to be my default go-to, I could just come here, take her staff ID and put it here. And this would mean if it's not Mark and not Fred, if it's anybody else, it's going to return Jen's staff ID. Okay, so that could be cool if you wanted to have a kind of staff in MindBody that handles everyone else kind of thing. Okay, a little dangerous because you haven't shared the availability for the staff ID. All right. Okay. Beautiful. And I'm going to rename this Lookup Staff. All right. Now we need to do the same thing for the appointment, because now we need an appointment ID. Should we quiz Rex or am I pushing it too much?
That's it.
All right. You're going in.
We'll see what happens.
I would say he could do something similar he did before, right?
I can just cheat off what was just done. So we'll do another lookup table. Well, yeah, we can click on this, copy it. But now we're
by the way, when you copy, you can copy more than one. So you could say copy all of this and paste.
Okay.
Right? Paste items. You can also copy and paste between automations. I could copy all of those and paste them into another automation, which is really cool. Okay, I'm going to deselect that. Deselect this, and I'm going to just copy this and paste that here. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to make a relationship between the appointment name in Calendly and the session type ID in MindBody. Okay.
So we're going to click on that.
I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it Lookup Session Type ID. Okay. All right. Now show me how I'm going to do this.
Okay, so in this event, we're gonna do so under the lookup table, we'll change the email addresses from email addresses to the appointment name.
Okay, so the appointment name was
Free assessment.
right? So I can, and this again has to match exactly. Okay, so this, I'm gonna get rid of this because I know this is not it, and we don't have a second one, so we only have one right now. Okay,
So we'll do free assessment, then we'll go into my body, and we'll go to services and pricing, click on the free assessment appointment. And then we'll find that appointment session type number.
oh, I think I deleted it. Hold on, do it again. Hold on. Assessment, free assessment.
Is it up there?
Edit. There you go. All right, so it's 27.
So we'll do
Okay.
free assessment equals 27.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll change the payload event extended assigned to email to session. Will we search session?
Well, no, Calendly doesn't know about sessions.
So it would be name. Would it be name of event?
All right. You sure you want to be in sales, man? Okay, cool. That's it. And I took out the default, right? But that's exactly it. You're taking the name of the event, and then you're saying if it's this, is this. Now, if you had more, you could, if you were creating a ton of events here, right? So right now we're only doing it for this one event here. But if you were creating an event for each one of these, so let's say you wanted to create a second one, you could come to appointments. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm also going to do exercise appointments, and I want to do endurance coaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can call this whatever you want. So it's called endurance coaching right now. So this is number 21, right? I'm going to copy that here. I'm going to say, you know what? 21 is going to be, let me close this here. Let's say we want to call it, instead of endurance coaching, we want to call it endurance for the pros or whatever. As long as that's the name you use in Calendly, it'll say this is going to be 21. Okay, so you can save that. Now you've done 2, and you could do all of your appointments in that table, right? And then it'll always translate the appointment name from Calendly into a session type ID in MindBody. Okay, beautiful. Well done. So the last step now is to add the appointment. So we've done everything, right? We've extracted the name. We figured out who the client is. We converted the dates. We looked up the staff. We looked up the session type ID. And now all we have to do is add the appointment. So I'm going to go MindBody. And I'm going to choose the action called add appointment. And now all I have to do is fill that in, right? I've got all my info. So this is what these automations are. You figure out all the stuff you need, you convert it, you get it, you go retrieve it, and at the end, you consume all these data points from all these API or conversions that you've done into one action. All right, so here, Mark, bring it home.
Ooh, Mr. Kata. All right, so start date. We're gonna map that to the, go to diagram, it'd be easier. So the result of the conversion of start date, action 3, and the value. Bam, end date. Pick on the diagram. Go to convert end time, date value. Right. All right, duration, did we ask for that?
Nope.
We don't need it though, do we? Because MindBody's already fixed.
You do need it.
Okay, so just click on diagram.
There's no duration in the diagram.
Oh, all right. So
Oh, yeah,
then
sorry, I can click on that. I apologize. There is.
the trigger though, right?
Yes, sir.
So then, what's it called? Duration. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Client ID, that's going to be from the MindBody add client, add or update client. And that's the client ID. So you could search ID or scroll down. Click.
All right. So then we have location ID here. Now, location ID, right now we're doing it just for one location. We
Right.
could do another class where I could show you where you could have different locations based on different appointments, and we can still do a lookup. So you could say if the appointment is assessment in Doylestown, assessment in Philadelphia, then you would be able to say with a lookup, if it's assessment in Doylestown, it's location 1. If it's in Philadelphia, it's location 2. In this case, we only have one location, so you can just put 1. Okay.
Gotcha. All right. And then we're going to map to that lookup table right at the bottom. Lookup staff. Yep. Number 5. Yep. And lookup value.
Okay. Beautiful.
Right.
And we were doing notes as well.
Sure. Okay. So that's going to be off the trigger. And it's the question, I think. I don't remember what it was called.
So it was called what? I think, what do you want to improve?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. And then you have a session type. Where do I get that? And you notice it's required, by the way. And if I say, show me all the required, you can't move forward without these. So
Gotcha.
this one is absolutely needed.
Right. And that's going to be in the last action of the session.
Beautiful. Okay.
Mark, for someone who's been awake since 1:30, that was really impressive.
Mark knows his stuff. Now you have other options here, right? You can say, do you want to send an email, right? If provided, must be to true or false, whether to send a client an email for cancellation, an email sent, okay? Apply payment. If provided, must be true or false. When true, indicates that a payment should be applied to the appointment. Careful with that, because you know, you don't want Calendly to apply payment here. This is really to be used more if you truly have captured the payment before, because otherwise if you apply payment, it could be a little more complicated. So I would just be careful with this. It's doable, that's why it's there, but it's going to require a little more intense level of integration and verification. Okay.
Can it capture credit card information without applying a payment?
It can technically, but you would have to add a different endpoint for that. It's
Okay.
Again, we do those very, very carefully, because you have some regulation and so forth when you transfer credit card information from one system to the next and so forth. So a little more complex,
Gotcha.
but yeah, it's possible. Gender preference could have been done: none, female, male. Staff requested by client. If you wanted to know that, you know, yeah. So if the client had said in Calendly, I want to work with Mark, right? This would say that. And then if user has complementary or alternative medicine features enabled, this parameter assigns a provider ID to the appointment. Again, remember, these actions, the add appointment action was not built to work with Calendly. It was built to work with anything. So you're going to have some features in there that are irrelevant to this particular integration, but could be very useful if you integrate it with something else. Okay, so that's why you have these other things that we kind of ignored in this case. And then you save it, and then you give it a name or a version name. So I'm going to call this first build. And the reason we have a version name is because you can check your versions here. So you can go back in time. Oh, it's not first build. You can go back in time to when you built it way back then and what it looked like before. So if you're experimenting and you're building stuff and it doesn't work and you want to go back to the time it was working, you can clearly just go back here and say, okay, this is what it was looking like before. I'm going to save this version instead. Okay. And you guys did it. That was impressive. I mean, you built a brand new Calendly to MindBody integration from scratch, and some of you with no training. That is impressive.
Yay.
All right, we can stop here. So that's the idea. You can see how straightforward that is. Once you start getting used to it, one of the things I haven't shown is, and I don't want to take too much time. It's Friday afternoon, and you know what I like to do on Friday afternoon. On the East Coast around 3:30, it's happy hour. So, what we could have done is not do these lookup tables for staff and for session. We could have built an automation that synced anytime there's a new or updated staff, stores it in the database, and then we could have retrieved it from that. So then you don't have to maintain those lookup tables. Maybe we'll do that the next time, but you can see, this is pretty cool stuff. And we have a lot of customers using Calendly to Mindbody very successfully. Was there any questions that came to us, or is there anything that you want to talk about before we hang up, or Rex or Mark, you guys?
No questions. I'm trying to think. This is a really helpful integration, Fred, because we do get a lot of Mindbody customers who are interested in this. And it's important for them to understand that even though it's simple and fairly straightforward, there's a lot that can be done with it. So it was cool to see the back end.
Yeah, I agree. No, some customers love it. I mean, they swear by it because they can support multiple staff and all. And Calendly has been awesome. What a great company. Very inspiring what they're doing. So, all right. Anything else, Mark? Did you use your hot tub today?
No, not yet. We'll do later.
So I hadn't used mine in like 3 days, and then Rex, it's miserable weather here. It's like cold and rainy and icy, and last night I was like, I'm going, I don't care. And last night I just went in and it was raining, and then my wife came she yelled across the backyard. She's like, "You're crazy!" And I was like, it was raining cold rain on me, and I was like, I don't care. It's hot in there, so it's pretty fun.
I did. Your talk of happy hour did make me realize that you can see the bottle of wine I was drinking last night. It's been in view this whole. It's very professional. So
evidence.
Very French of you.
That's right.
All right, you guys. You have an awesome weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.